everyone. Welcome to Mission to Inspire. My name is Shola, and we're joined today by Chris, all the way from Panama. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Shola.
You're welcome onto our show today. So, Chris, from CPA to top real estate broker,
Uh-huh.
but then you have a passion for prosperity and success strategies as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a bit about your incredible journey from the world of accounting, your CPA,
Mm-hmm.
to becoming one of the top real estate brokers in San
Sure.
Francisco?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shola, it was really interesting because I just sort of fell into accounting. I became a CPA and I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers all over the United States. New York, San Diego, San Francisco, Detroit.
Yeah.
And the thing that was really interesting is I sort of just fell into it out of school because I was good at accounting.
Okay.
And then I thought, oh, this is such a glamorous job with the cool offices and the travel and everything else. And the problem was I was really good at it, and I made a lot of money doing it. The problem was I hated it.
Oh,
um, and it was like, Shola, I swear to God, it was like going home every single night, like I was crying on the inside. I just really didn't like it very much at all. And what's really interesting is that at about that time, we had settled in San Francisco. And it was at about that time that my real estate agent, who
yeah.
sold me my first house in San Francisco, said, you should go into real estate because it really fits more my personality. I'm more outgoing, gregarious, and all that.
Hmm.
And so I did. I just decided that life's too short, and I wanted to do something because I felt really passionate about real estate, and so
Okay.
I really wanted to do something that I felt passionate about.
Yeah.
So I remember working for 6 months to save enough money to make sure I could live and start off my journey as an entrepreneur in real estate. And that's probably my only regret in life is I didn't do it sooner because I've been selling real estate specifically as a listing agent, working with sellers for over 30 years now. So it's been a lot of fun.
Wow. Wow. How old were you when you made this change in your life?
I was only 12 years old, Shola.
Oh my God.
No, I've got into CPA. So I became a CPA in what, 22?
Okay.
And then I was there for 11. So I'd say early 30s, like 33, 34.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a long time ago, and it was crazy. That was like really the cowboy days of real estate in San Francisco, and so there was all kinds of craziness happening. Real estate agents were doing. We were drinking a lot. We were partying. We were doing drugs. Those are the days where I was living on 4 hours of sleep. And we did really well. We made a lot of money. But then something happened that was really, they always say, Shola, don't 80%, 90% of all the stuff you worry about never comes true, right?
Hmm.
But it's those random phone calls you get on a Tuesday afternoon that just totally blow you away. And that's what happened to me. I got a random phone call about on a Tuesday afternoon saying that my partner at the time of what 8 years had brain cancer and just totally freaked me out as you can imagine. And knock on wood, thank God, total remission. So we're super blessed, super grateful. But at the time, we spent a year in the hospital. Um, and I didn't take care of myself. I was drinking way too much. And it was at the end of that year that I sort of had an epiphany that, you know what, you can't live your life like this. And that's when I wrote my book called Massive Abundance: How to Create Passion, Purpose, and Prosperity in Your Life. And just sort of got clean and really got into mindset work, prosperity work, and just totally did a 180 with my life. So, in a way, I hate to say it because it was an awfully, I don't even remember that year, but in a weird kind of messed up way, it was probably one of the best things that happened to us.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
In your book, you just mentioned your book now. In your book, you emphasized on mindset work anyway, and massive abundance. How did this personal discovery impact the way you approach your real estate business?
Well, one of the things that I realized is that just like any entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, I mean, look at all the great work that you're doing.
Yeah.
As you know, as an entrepreneur, that you really have to maintain a positive attitude. You have to be physically and mentally strong. And you've got to do that and practice that every single day because as an entrepreneur, you know what it's like to, clients get mad at you, you lose deals, people yell at you, things just don't go your way. And if you're not physically and mentally really strong, those things can really, really have an effect on you. And so it became really clear to me that the health and the mental were definitely intertwined, and you can't really have one without the other. And it became really clear to me that if you really want to have a fruitful, joy-filled life, that your mindset work is something that's going to be super key. Yeah.
Right, right. You spent 11 years as a CPA. What key lessons from that phase of your career helped you thrive in the real estate?
Uh, I think that that's a really good question. I think that one of the things I was very strong, one of the things I didn't like about being a CPA and about Price Waterhouse Coopers, all CPA firms, it's a
Yeah,
very structured environment. You
yeah.
got to show up at a certain time, you got to leave at a certain time. There's a lot of discipline that
Hmm.
needs to be put into place. And I think that the discipline that I learned working there and the relationships I made working there was something I was able to carry over into my real estate business.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people in real estate, they go in there, they think that real estate is, let's just eat donuts and hang out at the water cooler, and business is just going to come to them, and everything's going to be fine and dandy, and it's not. One of the things, just like with any other entrepreneur, one of the things that you have to do is you have to be super disciplined, not only with your mindset work, but with your marketing, so that you're constantly filling up your listing pipeline and constantly bringing in new business. And so I think that thing really helped me because I noticed a lot of people went into real estate with me are no longer in the business because they didn't have that mental fortitude and they didn't have that discipline really to
Hmm.
do all the right things that they had to do. Shola, when I first went into real estate, I in my first week or my second week, I
Hmm.
hired a real estate coach that cost $1,000 a month. And this is back in the early 90s. So $1,000 back then, which is still a lot of money.
Easy, a
$1,000 back in the 90s, that was a lot of money.
lot of money.
But it was important. I realized that that was super important for me.
Right. So you hired a coach. Wow. Wow.
Hmm. Yes. Because I think it was really important. I realized very early on in my journey that I wanted to hang out with people that were way more successful than me, that
Mm.
had been in the business longer than me. And basically, this coach, even though this coach made me do things that I did not like doing, one of the things this coach made me do was do cold calls. So I'd get on the phone and I would make hundreds of cold calls, every single week. And I hated it, but it did get me business and it brought me business in. But it dramatically cut my learning curve. And so I started making money, within less than 2 months. I think I made my first sale and ultimately became one of the top producing real estate agents in San Francisco.
Wow. Wow. That's the importance
Mhm.
out with people who are what you want to be, but way advanced.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I'll tell you, that's one of the things that I always say when I talk to brand new real estate agents,
Mhm.
and that is somebody just asked me the other day, what's the most important thing that a new agent can do? And I'll tell you, it's like you just said, find somebody that's doing better than you. You know, I personally have a real estate coaching company. It's called the Agent Unleashed Collective. And in the collective, I help people cut their learning curve because I have 30 plus years experience as a listing agent. So I can tell people what to do to bring money in right now. But if you're going to hire me or not, it makes no difference to me. Find somebody that is more experienced than you. People can start their own mastermind groups. One of the things that you could do is just find other real estate agents, find other entrepreneurs, not even in your city, maybe in the next city over or whatever, and introduce yourself and start your own group. Say, hey, listen, do you want to get on the phone once or twice a month and just talk about what's working, what's not working? And I've always I've always been in a mastermind group almost for the last 30 years. And there's nothing that's more motivating. It's so educational. It's just one of the best things anybody can do.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That is really, really interesting because a lot of people go into business, and that's why some businesses fail right from the start anyway, because they don't really get the advice and the support that they need from the very.
Right.
Thank you
Yeah,
so.
because you can do it yourself. There's no doubt in my mind that anybody can start a business and do it themselves. It's just by yourself, it's going to take a lot longer. So, I probably have ADD or ADHD or whatever. I want it now. I want results now. So what can we do to make that happen?
So you're one of the few.
Yeah, exactly. A little impatient.
Oh my God. Real estate in San Francisco, right, is notoriously competitive. I know that.
Right.
So what strategies do you employ to consistently secure high-end clients for you or listing?
Well, you're right, Shola. It is definitely, Shola, very competitive, and there are a lot of real estate agents. And, number one, I've been in the business for so long. I'll tell you the best thing that people can do is, especially to get high-end listings, is find a marketing strategy that connects with you, something that you will enjoy doing, and then do that consistently, become a master of that. What I see is, especially in my coaching business and other realtors do, is I see that they try something for a week or two and they say, oh, well, that doesn't work. Let's do something else. And so they're always subject to the shiny object syndrome. They're always looking for the next thing that's going to, get them the business that they want. And I think what's really important is really do an analysis up front. And this is what I do as part of my program, really do an analysis of each person and find out specifically what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are you willing to do, what do you find enjoyable? And everybody's different. I have a guy down in Southern California who's knocking on doors. He literally goes to neighborhoods and just knocks on doors, and he's killing it. I can't get him to use the phone, which blows my mind, and we're working on that. But everybody's different. A lot of people do probates. I successfully do expired listings and probate listings to get homes in San Francisco. My average sales price is a little over $2 million US in San Francisco. But it's really finding out what it is that you really want to do and then do it consistently. Okay. And as you probably know, the money's in the consistency. You can't just keep moving from strategy to strategy to strategy. You have to get good. And ideally for me, I like to be a master at 3 strategies to get listings and then just consistently do those strategies.
Strategies. Wow. Wow. That's a great lesson there. We can't do too many things at the same time. And,
right.
I think that
it's true. I know. I was just going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just reading a great book. And one of the things they talked about, there's a great personal development guy named James Rome, Jim Rome. And he said that if you have more than 3 goals in life, you don't have any goals. Because if you have 5 or 7 or 12 goals in your life, that means that you're not giving the attention and the energy and the money or whatever to specifically just a couple goals. You're too widespread. And so I think that's really one of the things that I've changed in the past year is just figuring out what are the 2 or 3 goals that are really specifically important to me over the next month, year, 3 years, 5 years, and really just focus all your energy at like a laser on those particular goals.
That's very true. Wow. Wow. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Another way to create both prosperity and more time, freedom in one of the toughest markets, which is real estate. What are some practical steps you took to achieve that balance, though?
The balance between prosperity and sanity.
Yeah.
um, well, a couple things. One is I specifically focused on being a listing agent. So as a listing agent, without getting into the mechanics, working specifically with sellers, it's a lot easier to do more business because you can get more listings. And the way that it works with showing houses and negotiating and all that, it's just you can do more business working with sellers as a listing agent, and you can take more time off.
Yeah.
It's really important to me. I've always felt this way, and that is at least take one day off a week where you're totally unplugged, where you're just unplugged and you're hanging out with family, friends, doing something that's really rejuvenating. Once a month, take a long weekend, maybe once or twice a year, take a vacation. It's really important to take those days off.
Yeah.
Dan Sullivan, who's one of the foremost coaches with the strategic coach, said, I can't even remember what he calls them, but he calls them off days. But he says, basically, if you're a football player, every football player has days where they practice, there's days they perform, and then there's days that they rejuvenate.
Yes.
And it's the same thing for an entrepreneur. If you're not taking off those days, then you sort of become worthless, and you get brain fog, and you get burned out, and it's still a struggle for me. But I do try to take at least one day off that I am just totally try to not look at my phone, whatever. Super important.
Yes, super important.
And the most important thing too, and show, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the one thing I love this, and excuse my language, because I have a coach for everything. I have a financial coach, a physical coach, and I also have a spiritual coach. And the spiritual coach, who's this lovely, probably 88-year-old woman. She lives in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I talk to her about twice a month. And one of the things that she said to me once, I'll never forget this as long as I live. She says, Chris, she says, we're making all this shit up anyways. Let's make up good stuff. And it really hit me like a ton of bricks, because we are designing our own lives. Everything that we're doing is by design. Whether you're conscious with it or unconsciously, you're designing your own life. So we should be designing a life that's just really fun. We should have a business that's really fun. I'm not saying not to work hard, but you should also have time to play hard and spend time with your loved ones and family, because, just working for money's sake, that's not a goal. That's a means to an end. We need to have fun. And that's one of the things that I love about my life and my business is, I'm really goofy. I love cracking jokes and having fun and making this a real pleasurable experience, because gosh, I'm 65 years old. I've been doing this so long, and time goes like that, and we need to have fun in our lives.
That's true. That's true. We're here to have fun in our lives. That's very true. They say, work without play.
What's that?
I said, work without play makes Jack a very dull.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that is absolutely so true. Because the reason everybody has an end goal. I believe that it should be, what experiences do you want to have? What learning do you want to do? And the money part is just a way to get there. But we really have to, and that's one of my things that I found in my life, Shola, is that I just think that whatever brings me to joy, I think happiness is overrated and silly. But for me, if I can get myself into a state of joy,
Mm.
um, then to me, that is the epitome of life. That is where I want to be. And one of the ways I do that is I get into a state of joy by working out, doing my mindset work, and also serving others. And I've always done that, whether I was a CPA, whether I'm working with my sellers in San Francisco, or helping real estate agents and coaching them to be the best they can.
Yeah,
That just brings me into a total state of joy. And there's just nothing better than that for me.
yeah, yeah. So you're one of those who love to help people, basically. In everything
Yes.
you do, you help people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. I mean, I get on a coaching call, Shola. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, especially, when you get on a call and the person, the real estate agent really gets it, and
Yeah.
you can hear that, you can see the light bulb go off, and they go, wow, okay. And when they get the result, I can live off of that for days. I love it.
Oh my God. So after 30 years in real estate business, how do you stay motivated and continuously innovate in an ever-changing industry?
Well, there's two things that I do,
Uh,
which I think is really important for all of us. Number one, I continue to learn. All
right.
right. You've probably heard there's a great organization called Mind Valley.
Yeah.
They're worldwide. I belong to Mind Valley. I am always probably 20 minutes every single day of my life. I'm listening to something. I'm learning something new. I'm listening to different ways to do things.
Wow.
Currently, I'm listening to Vishan's what Extraordinary Life. I just finished The Art of Manifestation, which
Okay.
is an amazing thing. So
Yeah.
I'm always learning, and I'm trying to learn new things. But the other thing that I'm also doing too is just I have a mastermind group with my coaching program, and just talking to other real estate agents, talking to the agents that are in my coaching program, being on the mastermind, I'm always learning new things.
Wow.
And you probably found this yourself with your show and everything that you're doing, is
Yes.
that sometimes you're the teacher, sometimes you're the student.
Yeah.
I'm teaching them some things, and then I'm learning some new things too. So I
Yeah.
think, and also the thing too, Shola, is I'm a real estate agent in San Francisco. I'm running a real estate business in San Francisco. So I think that keeps me like on the cutting edge, so I
Mhm.
can pass that on to my coaching clients.
Yeah.
But I think it's just really all about learning. It's about learning from your people that are in your life, people that you're uh, associating with,
Yeah.
and just the learning that you're doing. I just learned something from one of my friends here. I live in Panama, as you mentioned. One of my friends about investing in watches. Um, I mean, it's just something that I never even knew that people invest in watches.
Okay.
And I mean, it's just such a weird kind of thing to talk about, but that's a thing. And so I'm like a sponge. I think that's really super important.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining us today. For people that want to contact you, either for your coaching program or for real estate purpose investment, how can they contact you?
A- Absolutely. Thanks for asking, Shola. The best thing to do is just go to my website, which is the agentunleashed.com. It's theagentunleashed.com. You can reach out to me there. I've got free training, and yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for joining us today. Do you have any inspirational advice for people out there that might want to do what you do?
Uh, well, I'll tell you one thing that I found tremendously inspirational, and one of the things that a mentor always told me, two things. One
Yeah.
is, don't ever judge the success of your day on your results. Judge the success of your day on your actions. I think that's really important. Do the right things that you know that need to get done for the universe to work with you and to make things happen. And not every day is going to be a new sale, or it's going to be a big aha or whatever, but
Yeah.
just keep doing the things that you know. And secondly, I just have to say this really fast.
Yeah.
One of the books I just finished reading, Shola, it's called by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's called 10x is easier than 2x. Amazing book. It's probably the biggest book that I've read that has profoundly changed both of my businesses in the last 5 years.
Right.
10x is easier than 2x. I encourage everybody to go out and get it.
Okay. What's the title of the book again?
10x is easier than 2x.
10 hearts is easier than 2 hearts. Okay.
Yeah, 10x. Yeah, 10x. So it's easier to 10 times your income as opposed to just doubling your income. And the book gets into why, and it's a total paradigm shift. It's an amazing book.
Wow. Okay. I shall go look for that book and read it myself. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Shola.
It's a pleasure having you on our show, and we've totally enjoyed everything that we've talked about, and I'm sure it's inspired everyone out there on how to go out and do something extraordinary for yourself.
I love it. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for watching us and listening to us today. Thank you. Bye. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Like, follow, comment. Until next time. Goodbye.